Hey, sports fans and TGIF. I am so excited that it is Friday. More importantly, I hope everybody had a fantastic week because, like I mentioned earlier this week, this has probably been one of the most sports feeling weeks that we've had in such a long time. Hockey's been back in action with the exhibition games. Training camp started up for the NFL. And even though there's a lot of split decisions on how promising the 2020 NFL season is looking, look, we're at training camp and it's a step in the right direction. Now, per usual, we're kicking off with some NFL news. Tampa Bay decides to sign running back LeSean McCoy to a one-year deal. Now, what can or will McCoy bring to the table when it comes to the Tampa Bay Bucks? We know that the Bucks are the talk of the town when it comes to having one of the most dynamic offenses in the league between Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty in the slot, Tom Brady as the quarterback, Doug Gronk at tight end, Cameron Brate at tight end, OJ Howard at tight end. There's just so many options on this Bucks offense. So what does that mean for the new addition to the team, and why did he choose Tampa Bay? Now, it was caught on record by sources that he wanted to be a part of a winning franchise. And if you guys didn't notice, he actually just came from the Kansas City Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl. Now, he didn't participate in that Super Bowl because of injury. So the biggest question, besides what is he going to bring to the table for the Tampa Bay Bucks, is what is his health looking like? He says that he feels good. And of course, with COVID and the pause to everything in the world, COVID gave a lot of athletes an opportunity to actually really heal, to really focus on their bodies. So I will not take it away from him that he probably feels really good right about now. Now, the 5'11", roughly 207 running back, he's probably about the same frame as what the Tampa Bay Bucks are already working with. So I think it's all fair to say that they're just looking to have as many options out there as possible, because if you have a quarterback like Tom Brady who has endless options, I think you can put us under the category of a winning franchise to be. The season hasn't started yet. So congratulations to McCoy for joining that quote-unquote winning franchise, and hopefully that works out in his favor. Besides the health questions underneath his name, let's talk about some of his accolades. He's rushed for a little over 11,000 running or rushing yards, about 73 touchdowns, and 503 receptions. Now, that's pretty outstanding for him, and we know that we'll see him in the slot. We know that he has a way of warming his way into those tight holes and having breakaways, so he will be useful to the Tampa Bay Bucks as long as everything holds up healthily. That's my only concern when it comes to signing a guy like that, but it's just a one-year deal. Now, in further conversations for the Tampa Bay Bucks, we had an opportunity to have multiple press conferences because, like I said, this has been one of the weeks where sports has felt the most back, if that even makes sense. But yes, it feels the most back right now. So, of course, we got to catch up with Coach Arians on Tuesday. We discussed that on Tuesday's segment. And then between Tuesday and now, we got a chance to catch up with tight end Cameron Brate and rookie Tristan Wirfs, which we'll jump to in a second. Now, when it comes to Cameron Brate, he broke down a lot of information, but before his press conference, he went to social media to post the fact that he is actually somebody who overcame COVID-19. Now, this is something that was left very low-key. A lot of people didn't know about it because, as you know, most athletes who caught COVID-19 or, was dealing with that, their names were never released while they were sorting through it. I totally respect that now, because as I'm seeing and hearing about different cases and how it strikes people differently, you don't want to put somebody's name out there who's going to have a tougher uphill battle when it comes to overcoming or recovering carefully from COVID-19. Now, Brate says that he was one of the fortunate ones to not have severe symptoms. He only lost his taste buds there for about roughly 2 days. And unfortunately, he did catch it from his fiance, which he mentioned multiple times in the press conference. But both of them are on the road to recovery and feeling way better and have totally overcome COVID-19. And they wanted to, pay it forward. So now they're having you go to, I think it's onebuck.org to get information in terms of donating plasma. We know that we need all the information possible when it comes to COVID-19 because, there's still so much we all don't know. So if you guys get an opportunity, if I didn't get the right website, just Google Cameron Brate, interview, donating plasma, and you'll have all the information right there. If you guys have dealt with COVID-19 and, want to donate plasma or, get research as to how to be a part of someone who is a part of that research, then go ahead and check all those details out. Now, Of course, because he's one of the people who overcame COVID, there was 100,000 questions about when and how. Okay, so he got it a couple months ago. He doesn't feel like he was, amongst anyone at the time in order to spread it or be a carrier of it to put anybody else in jeopardy or harm. We know that the guys were getting together and doing small workouts at Berkeley Preparatory School here in Tampa Bay. And at the time, he wasn't feeling any symptoms and he didn't think that he had it. Now, none of the guys that he was working out with had caught COVID-19. So I think it's safe to say that he was in the clear at the time. Now, I get it. Everybody loves and is just in awe of Tom Brady. So with anybody who comes in contact with Tom Brady or now his newfound teammates, the question rears its head. It's not my question ever, but it always pops up as, what's it like to be playing with Tom Brady? He kept it pretty short and sweet. He's just a normal guy. So far, he hasn't got a chance to really pick his brain too much, but you can tell he's a very meticulous guy on the field. He's a perfectionist. I think everybody who's come in contact with Brady, interviewed Brady, or knows somebody that knows Tom Brady has all had one unison thing to say about him, and the fact that the guy is a perfectionist, he is meticulous, and he is here to get a job done. Of course, with a big heart, he's a big leader, and he's not just here to, focus on just the winning. He has that leadership quality that a lot of coaches would want in any of their QB1s. Aside from that, Bray was just breaking down the fact that the season is going to be different, and we wanted to know his point of view on terms of, is it really as risky as people are discussing to have a 2020 NFL season? He goes, look, of course it's high risk. This is a very hard thing to kind of narrow down as to who's going to get it when, but he, along with Coach Arians, said that they really genuinely trust what the NFL and the NFLPA has put together thus far in order for them to conduct training camp in a hopeful 2020 NFL season. Now, with all that being said, I want to get you guys' opinion. Do you think that we'll actually be able to finish the 2020 NFL season, or will we have to stop? Now, so far, there's been some success with the NHL. They just completed a week of exhibition games, and they're getting ready to move forward with the playoffs. And they haven't been testing positive, but that's within a bubble. Positives are coming within teams functioning in a bubble. The MLB is a hot mess right now. So will the NFL be the next hot mess, or will we be able to manage the situation? We kind of got a chance to ask Cameron Brate this question as well, and he, again, very, very in sync with his head coach, said, it's going to come down to players being disciplined. It's going to come down to guys, just you're safe at the facility. They've done everything they can to make the facilities as safe as possible. Tier 1 and Tier 2 are wearing different badges. If you're within a certain, radius of one another, it starts blinking red so that guys know to back off a little bit. Brate said the weirdest thing in terms of training camp and keeping your social distance is going to be lunchtime. That's kind of a part of training camp where you get to know other teammates and really get on a personal level with those guys. And, it's going to be kind of weird and very different this year, but he trusts what's going on at the facilities. It's just going to be what people choose to do outside of the facilities. He doesn't recommend that anyone goes and eats at restaurants. He definitely doesn't recommend that anyone takes the risk of going out to bars and stuff like that. And, Coach Arians said the same thing. Look, you need to go from the facilities to home and home from the facilities so that we can get through this season. Now, another Tampa Bay Buck that we got the opportunity to hop on a press conference call with was actually earlier today, rookie Tristan Wirfs. Now, everyone has said it from the beginning since we drafted him, that he's just the nicest guy. Most of these big boys are the nicest guys. They're teddy bears. But it was funny because somebody had to ask him, look, you're a dominant player on the field, but you're the sweetest guy. Is there a switch that goes off when you hit that field? And he's like, no, the nice thing is just pretty much me. Like, I'm not a mean guy. I don't really have that switch. He felt that it was more impactful to, focus on executing a play to perfection, getting up and smiling in your opponent's face rather than being a trash talker. And you know what? I kind of have to side with him on that. People are way more disrupted when you smile in their face than when you try to go toe-to-toe in the smack talking. In terms of preparing for the season, now we know that this has been the oddest season to prepare for when it comes to rookies. It's extremely unfortunate to not have that real, true OTA feel. They've had to learn everything virtually. In my personal opinion, as I've said, and we got a chance to interview some of the Bucks players throughout quarantine and whatnot. And, my biggest thing is, since you cannot be there in person and physically, maybe this gives you an analytical edge to dive into that book a little deeper than you would if you were out there on the field or already, committed to workouts with other teammates. And we're basically said the same thing, that he's really just focused on learning the playbook as much as possible, because the more he knows the playbook, the more mindless he can execute those plays on the field. Now, he's going to be, protecting Tom Brady. And with his skill set that he translated in Iowa, we know that he's going to have a large role probably quite quick out there when the season kicks off. And when he was asked about how he would feel in terms of taking on that much weight on his shoulders so quick out the gate, he said, you know what? He'll take it on. He actually had to take on a large role very fast at Iowa, very fast and early in his career there. So he's not concerned about that. He's more, wants to just keep diving into that playbook, make sure he knows his job and that he executes that on the field. And he said, every play, I'm just going to do the best job I possibly can. And at the end of the day, that's all I can do. Now, again, we had to ask him about the Brady effect, and I loved his answer. He said at the end of the day, Tom Brady's just a guy, and I'm sure he wants to be treated like just a guy. And it's so true. We hold Tom Brady on this pedestal, yes, because he is an amazing athlete and, he has all sorts of accolades under his belt. But at the end of the day, it's like you can't put this guy on a pedestal. You got to treat him like another person. You have to level with him so that you guys have this translated respect for one another. So I like that, especially as a rookie, that was his response rather than having this, of course, he said he had his moment and they said, what's up in the hallway? They didn't stop and talk for too long because social distancing and all. He said, what's up, big dog, to him, and he waved to him as he left the parking lot. But other than that, he said he's just a guy and he just looks forward to learning from him. I know that each and every player on that Bucks team is going to learn a lot from Brady this coming season, and that's a huge asset because once Brady actually does wrap it up, if he actually does, these guys have something to carry with them throughout their career before they hang up the cleats. Now, so far with all the COVID-19 madness, we know that there's been a lot of players, unfortunately, who just can't take the risk. And so far, there's been 31 NFL players who've opted out of the 2020 season thus far. Now, Marquise Goodwin actually had a very emotional why. If you guys don't know his story, his wife and him had been trying to have babies, and unfortunately, she lost 3 of them. That's a huge taxing deal on not only a woman, but a couple and a family. So for him to be able to hold his kids and not, think twice about putting them at risk, it's just totally not worth it. And, of course, I don't want to say reporters being reporters, but some reporters being reporters always have to ask the question, well, what if there was a prorated salary and a bubble and this and that? And, he went so emotionally deep to confirm the fact that nothing will sway him to put his family at risk. If it was a bubble situation, he may consider it a little further because at least at that point, he's not interacting with his family after he's interacted with other people in a contact sport. But at the end of the day, guys, this is so much bigger than just an individual person and their thoughts and feelings about this pandemic. This affects each individual person, affects everybody, affects a unit of people. So this is probably the biggest time in each and all of our lives that we have to be the most selfless beings right now. And even he kind of said, his biggest fear with even giving it a shot, even though, there's safety protocols and procedures in play here and it's being discussed and dialed in even further, is that he just doesn't trust really the young guys on the team who they're going to want to celebrate those victories. They're going to, this is the prime time of their career. And the thing to do in the prime time of your NFL career is to go out, to meet people, to celebrate, so he doesn't trust that after a couple games, people aren't going to be like, okay, we're fine. And we're just going to go do what we want to do. And I have to agree with that. I think at some point or another, everybody tends to get lax on the rules or what they can and cannot do, and they take risk. And your one little risk can put a whole team in jeopardy. Now, for another person, NFL player, overcoming COVID-19 is Vikings linebacker Barr. He is now on COVID reserve until he is fully cleared and testing negative. Now, prayers and well wishes go to Jaguars executive Tom Coughlin after getting in a motorcycle accident. Another bike cut him off and tipped the front of his bike. He has 4 fractured ribs, 1 punctured lung, and needed stitches on his head. He'll be out recovering for about not like he's playing, but he will be, away recovering with his family for about 4 to 6 weeks. Crazy enough, he went home after the accident before going to the hospital, and his family members had to tell him, you look unwell, let's go to the hospital. And thank God he did, because there was obviously some severe injuries that needed to be medically treated right away. So again, prayers and well wishes sent out to Tom Coughlin for his speedy and full recovery. Now, college football, we haven't really talked much about college football in a minute because, well, in terms of them having a season, most people have doubted the chance of it actually happening. Now, most conferences are trying to give it a try. SEC football will be returning September 26th and only playing in conference games. And backing up that theory, ACC, Notre Dame will be also playing in conference games, and they'll be starting up in September as well. So far, it looks like we have football to look forward to, but I think we all got to get to August 1st before we get too excited, right? Stick with us as we go to a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we break down some NBA and NHL.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys. So I didn't mention it earlier because, obviously for dramatic pauses and reasons. Now, as I mentioned, this being the most sports week of sports weeks thus far, the NBA officially returned yesterday. Yes, having their games in the bubble. Now, if you guys got a chance to catch it, or if you're more of an NBA fan than an NHL fan or an NFL fan, then you're a very happy camper this week. As games started off last night, NBA players, coaches, staff, all refs, everybody came in unison to take a kneel during the anthem to show and stand for unity at this moment. Also, their warm-up t-shirts were all wearing Black Lives Matters. Now, for yesterday's games, we had the Jazz versus the Pelicans, where the Jazz topped the Pelicans by 2 points, 106-104, and Clippers versus Lakers, where Lakers outplayed the Clippers 103-101. As of today, earlier today, we had the Magic and the Nets, which we will bring you guys those post-game interviews and conferences on Tuesday's segment. We had Suns versus the Wizards. We had Grizzlies versus the Trailblazers, Celtics versus the Bucks, and going on as we speak, we have the Kings versus the Spurs and Rockets versus the Mavericks. So if you are more of an NBA fan, or if you're just a sports fan in general, let us know what team you're supporting and what team you think is going to make it all the way through. We definitely want to start getting this NBA talk ramped up. And so far, the good news, aside from NBA being officially back, is that the bubble has so far been working in terms of keeping everybody COVID-free. There has been no positive testing in the last week and a half or even more. So far, everybody is in the clear when it comes to remaining in the bubble and just doing your job. Now, as for the next bubble taking place, the NHL, things seem to be going well in the NHL bubbles as well. We know that the guys are split amongst two cities, Edmonton for the Western Conference and Toronto for the Eastern Conference. Our Tampa Bay Lightning obviously are in Toronto for the Eastern Conference. Exhibition games have officially wrapped up for the week, and teams have been standing in unity before games to show that they are all in this together, that they will not stand for racial injustice as well. So as you see, all athletes and professional teams are taking this time to make sure that the platform is still being used for a positive notion. We definitely appreciate the NHL's participation. And you know what? There's just been a lot of backlash as to whether this is a political situation or not. And I think at some point we just have to stop you putting crutches in such severe topics. If these guys are coming together and standing one another and wanting to show that they're in unity and that they support another, how is that a political move? And why would we even want to put that notation on it or taint it with trying to make it something negative? We have teammates supporting teammates, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, Red Robin games start tomorrow. We got the Rangers versus the Hurricanes at noon, Blackhawks versus Oilers at 3 p.m. And if you have not caught the update, Blackhawks, as we know their name, they will not be allowing headdresses at their games any longer. So no Indian costumes or uniforms in those arenas, or to support them. If you want to wear that, you have to wear them at home. Panthers versus Islanders at 4 p.m., Canadians versus Penguins at 8 p.m., and Jets versus Flames at 10:30 p.m. Now, okay, some of these teams, you just have to know that they're still one of those franchises that are killing the game. Rangers and Hurricanes will be a really good game, but I'm sure the Hurricanes will take it. Blackhawks v. Oilers. You know what? Sometimes the Oilers have these opportune moments where they really show up and just kind of wipe the ice with people. And then, the Blackhawks haven't really been a dominant franchise in a couple seasons now. So I have to take the Oilers for that one. Panthers, Islanders. We just beat the Panthers in the exhibition game, which I'm so psyched about. But again, they have their moments. Their goalie is a tough guy. I mean, he made 29 saves against us, but that only just speaks so highly to how well the wingers and forwards were playing for the Tampa Bay Lightning that day. So I think I'm going to have to take I don't know. I think I'm going to have to take the Islanders versus the Panthers. Canadians versus Penguins, I'm taking the Pens. And then Jets versus Flames, I'm going to take the Jets because they were actually one of the top leading teams in the NHL. Stick with us as we go to another quick commercial break, and then we break down some MLB.
I'm not picking it up. You pick it up.
I'm not picking it up.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. They're clean. 'Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin Clean. That's how I know they're clean.
Charmin Ultra Strong is woven like a washcloth and just cleans better.
Yeah, I'm Charmin
The
Clean.
kid does have a point.
My hand is clean.
Enjoy the go with Charmin. And for an extra clean finish, try Charmin Flushable Wipes.
All right, guys, welcome back. Now, as we move on to some MLB conversation, Trout has now hit the paternity list, so wish him luck as he is awaiting his child to join all of us in this crazy but lovely world. 2 Cardinal players have tested positive for COVID, which means the Cardinals versus Brewers game in Milwaukee has been postponed due to too many positive tests. I'm telling you, the MLB is just a complete wrecking ball at the moment, and it's super hard to figure out where they're going to go from here. We know the guys were not budging in negotiations. They actually wanted way more games. They wanted 100 over 82 games. And to think if they were going to make it through this season, let's be serious, it doesn't look like it at all. This just keeps getting worse and worse with every game. Every game that has to be postponed is just going to push the season into what needs to translate into preparation for the next season. So fingers crossed for the MLB, and let's just seriously hope and pray that this is not the foreseen future of what the NFL's 2020 season is going to look like. And then to add to the list of the 17 positively tested Marlins players, there's now been an 18th positive tested Marlins. So we'll see what takes place with the rest of the Marlins season. I'm surprised that, with MLS, if a team got too many players testing positive, they just kind of scratch in the tournament now. I know MLB's not doing anything tourney style, but they might have to start removing some teams at some point or just scratch that whole season. Now, speaking of MLS, game scores below. We are now in the quarterfinals of the MLS tournament, which means, August is right here, starting tomorrow. So the finals are amongst us very, very nearly. Who do you think is taking that final trophy home? Let us know in our messages or shoot us a comment. Now, yesterday, Philadelphia topped Sporting KC 3-1. Orlando City and LAFC are actually in the middle of the match right now. It's currently 0-0. LAFC is a strong team to contend with. I mean, Rodriguez is a freak of nature. I really want to root for Orlando City on this one, but as we know, they just lost Dom Doyer to an injury, and he is cuddled up with his family at home trying to sort through an injury to the knee. So let's just see what happens with these two teams. Tomorrow, we've got San Jose versus Minnesota, and then NYCFC versus Portland at 10:30 p.m. Let us know who's taking that cup home. As we shoot across the pond really quick, just a little chip on the shoulder conversation. Christian Pulisic is now Chelsea's American hero. They didn't really give him the warmest greeting when he signed his contract to head over to Chelsea, and they didn't think he'd be a fit, and he had his debut game strong, showing that he was going to be an asset to this team, and he's been extremely consistent, if not getting better per game, and now all of Chelsea is on board, so congratulations to Christian Pulisic on, being officially welcomed to Chelsea. And the British Grand Prix wants to make sure that everybody knows that they have a message and a campaign that the world should know. They race as one. Make sure you guys catch the Grand Prix this weekend on Sky Sports, because Formula One is just exciting to watch, or at least at the end of it, if you can't stand to sit there and watch the entire track race. Guys, this is it for me today. I hope everyone had an amazing and an exciting week. And if not, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Per usual, stay safe, stay sane, stay kind, stay compassionate. Wear your mask, and I will see you here next Tuesday at 8 p.m.